Pound?
No. What is going on?
Ryan, we're live.
Dude, Elon is fucking with the stream. Elon's fucking with the stream. He knows he can. Dude, he stole our political party. What is wrong with you?
Why would Elon do it, Ryan?
Because it's the greatest thing ever invented. America, are you serious? I'm just rebrand. We're the next David. He's gonna say refounding fathers. I fucking swear to God. I fucking swear to God. Ruin the day, people.
I will. Okay, I'll be slightly suspicious. If he says refounding fathers, I'll be slightly suspicious.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, the new founding fathers. No, bitch, the refounding fathers. We're refounding America again for the 8th time.
There's stuff on my glasses, Ryan. Ryan, kick off the show. Do you remember what the show's about?
How the hell does light make electricity, David, and sound doesn't? Yes, David. How does light make electricity, but sound doesn't? How can we not just scream?
Why would sound make electricity?
Because energy cannot be destroyed nor created. It can only be transferred. So if I scream in a cave, it resonates in a wave. How come we can't capture that wave and turn it into electricity if I can zap a solar panel? Because all you're doing is taking the light and then extending the light outward across the panel. That's what those little sections are. And they sit in a little resistor, David. And all they do is put a little etching that's actually the same thing as screen printing back in the day when they would fucking dunk shit and pull it out. And it would just be left. That's how they do motherboards and solar panels. It's a high-tech form of screen printing. So they just dunk this thing in an acid bath and pull it out, and those little lines are left there. So they hit the cell. That's what that little thing is, like a little floppy disk window, and it takes the light and expands it out. As the light hits, it expands out. It gets caught in those pathways, goes to a little resistor, and the resistor goes to an optimizer, and then the optimizer goes to your control panel. If we can do that with light, David, I single-handedly, like Monsters, Inc., can scream America into power. I will, David. Just feed me, and I will scream in caves, David. My voice will power this country in more ways than one, David.
Are you trying to figure out why we don't collect energy from sound? Is this what you're trying to get to?
Yeah, why the fuck not? If energy is neither created nor destroyed, it takes calories. It takes calories, water, nutrition, oxygen, force, thought, consciousness, like to make language. And if language and sound holds a vibrational frequency already, it's already moving molecules and energy, just like light. Dude, a solar panel, it's not, look, people, it doesn't create electricity. A solar panel does not generate electricity.
It captures energy.
The sun is making the light. So the light has electricity in it. Right? We just use the light with the fucking spinning of the earth and some copper. But the light itself is becoming electricity.
I think you're
transferring energy. So why can't I do that with sound?
You absolutely
sound can damage your ears physically.
Who says we don't do that?
We don't. We don't power things with sound.
Well, maybe it's not an efficient form of power.
Have we tried? Look up if we tried to generate
power. We make energy with all types of stuff, Ryan. We make it with waves and sun and
David. Electricity is a wave. Okay, the sunlight is a
water wave. Sound energy is the form of energy that travels in waves due to the vibration. Let me search capturing sound energy.
Can you capture sound energy on a fucking?
Sound energy can be captured and converted in other forms of energy, primarily electrical energy, using devices like microphones. That's apparently what a microphone is, Ryan.
No, okay. So we could speak
energy.
I fucking hate these people. We could
when
literally
you speak, you create energy, Ryan.
Like a microphone. Why can't we backfeed that into the fucking grid? Like we do solar panels, David. I could literally speak America's lights on. Are you serious? Give me a 220 line. The fucking oh my god, it plugs in 120.
But I don't
turn into a fucking meter.
Right, David, why are you screaming about microphones?
Oh my god, we did it, David. We just need billions of microphones. We have unlimited energy. I figured it out. Fuck you, Elon. I beat you to it. I don't need to go to Mars. I just need microphones.
Right, I don't
capture sound. Why can't we convert it back? We do it with light. We can't turn sound. That's free electric. Everything's fucking noisy. Everything screams, dude. We just get microphones all over the place. fucking run this shit back.
Oh, but no,
to an inverter. The inverter will flip it, David, from DC to AC, and then you can pump that back to your meter channel, which goes back up to a catch that's attached. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. That's literally, we could fucking.
Brian, nobody is doubting that sound becomes energy.
David, nobody has thought of this. We're talking. I just discovered.
Wait, hold on. Buff Mike already answered this. He said Monsters Inc. thought of this already.
Nobody, dude. Look at me. I'm a fucking electrician, and you're not an animator. I'm telling you what we do for solar panels. How come I can't hook a microphone and scream my lights on?
Well, it makes something then. I just don't think it.
We don't need to make
anything. As much energy.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We need an inverter, a place to store it, which would be a meter channel. We just let's do it. I'll see how much power I could scream. Look up how much. I don't know if it would be watts or volts the human voice carries. Look up how much power is in the human voice can you measure voltage in the human voice? Honestly, this one would get me killed, David. Telling you guys that you could just scream your house on every day. Are you fucking serious? I'm being serious, Mike. You're right. Monsters Inc. did do this, but nobody
AI from Google says that the phrase "how many volts are in a human voice" is misleading. Human voice doesn't have a fixed voltage. Instead, the sound waves it produces can be converted into electrical signals with voltages, typically ranging from thousandths of a volt to tenths of a volt, depending
thousands to tenths.
Yeah, depending on if it's already processed through microphones and speakers and things. So I think thousands of a volt would be the human voice without anything else. Which is kind of what I was saying is I just don't think there's enough power in sound.
No, David.
There's not enough energy in sound to create usable amounts of power.
The fuck there's not, dude. How much volts is it? Then look up, do the same. Let's do it.
How you want to see how many volts are in the sun?
In the sun's light, because there's no volt. The sun's not. I can't stick a meter in the fucking ground, dude. I can't test sun. Can you? They're gonna tell you they use a solar panel, which requires inversion. That's what an inverter does of a solar panel. It takes one type of energy, turns it into another. It's a transformer. That's the name of the fucking thing outside your house. It's not just a robot.
It doesn't seem to know. It's saying a solar cell produces half a volt.
There you go. An optimizer on a solar panel, David, uses 1 volt. That's how you know they're good. You test them, they're 1 volt because you pass 1 volt through them at a time. I'm telling you,
make it then. I don't know.
I don't know if we can make it. It's probably already been made.
Damn it, Ryan! You were just screaming about it for 10 minutes.
Let's do it, David. I just thought about it right now, to be honest. If we can generate power through electricity through the sun, why can't we do it through sound? We could just put a bunch of microphones to capture the energy. You're telling me a stadium full of people, you can't.
Ryan, why can't you just capture the static energy in the air?
That's how you. Idea? Well, I mean,
make it assassinated.
No, I just told you guys how to do it, though.
If everything is energy, why is energy expensive?
I think electricity should be free. Generally, I generally believe that. Taxes should pay for your electricity, and short of that, it's fucking done. This shit is literally in the ground. They just put poles in the ground. It's bullshit.
Nope. There it is. Yes, Sully did figure out that laughing is more energy than scaring. Ryan, the show today was it is not about Ryan creating sound energy or Monsters Inc. It is about Tucker Carlson because he caused a shitstorm because he interviewed the president of Iran, Ryan. And here's the thing. Tucker also interviewed the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. That was probably, 2 years ago at this point?
Yeah.
It was when we got a while.
Did he do a history lesson as well, David?
No. And honestly, and here's the thing. We said this back when they did that. Vladimir Putin, you can say whatever you want about the guy. He clearly is highly intelligent.
Super spy, super dumb, Dave. Clearly.
Saying that, of course, makes us bad people. But there's no denying Vladimir Putin was he's a wildly intelligent person. Doesn't mean he's not a dick. I don't know, but good for Tucker just going out and just asking questions, asking around, asking everybody, not asking for one side of the story. I don't know what to expect from this interview, Ryan. But I will say this: with the Putin,
you haven't watched it either.
What's that?
Have you not watched it?
No, Ryan. I'm pulling a Ryan. So
we're really going live, huh?
Yeah. For with the Putin one, we did a handful of clips. The Putin interview was like an hour plus long, but this one's only it's under a half hour. So I figure with us pausing and this and that, it's gonna make for an hour show. We'll easily double that or maybe triple it.
3 podcast.
So Ryan, before we get into Tucker Carlson interviewing the president of Iran, do you have any other statements?
They're so psycho that they would teach your kids not only that they're going to get fat like Wally, but that you can literally laugh your way to utopia because it's a funny thought in general. So,
as always, Ryan, we can pause it whenever.
So he didn't even go there. He didn't even go there.
Usually when I say that, we get about 1/4 of a second in and Ryan's like, pause. So maybe we'll get that out of the way. But here is Tucker Carlson interviewing the president of Iran.
Mr. President, thank you very much for doing this. There is a pause, or seems to be a pause, in the war between the United States and Iran. How do you think this will end? How would you like to see it end?
We did not start this war, and we do not want this war to continue in any way. From the very beginning, it was the motto of my administration that I always adhere to, and that was fostering the national unity inside the country and also fostering peace and tranquility and friendship with the neighboring countries and with the rest of the world.
The American President Donald Trump has said that the United States bombed your enrichment facilities because the government of Iran refused to give up its nuclear program, and that there can be no peace until Iran does give up that nuclear program. Would you be willing to give up the nuclear program?
Hold on. I can't believe I paused it before Ryan. Anyone want to take bets on him denying that they're even building nukes?
I don't know. The mainstream media report, David, how close were they?
Well, surely they were days away. I mean, 25 years ago, they were 5 years away. So, no, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, they were 5 years away. So they had to have been really close at this point. But remember, we covered their Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard had the report, which then she came out and said was out of context, which is hilarious because it's her own words, basically being straightforward. Tulsi Gabbard said, Iran hasn't been building a nuke since 2003. This was like literally months ago. So it was. We thought it was quite curious. So I'm interested. Who's the guy in the picture on his left? Is that like the religious leader? It's probably the Shah, but I could probably find out instead of guessing.
You know what's unbelievable to me? First of all, Tucker Carlson's in a fucking fallout country shelter with a suit on. It's pretty funny.
His pad looks cool.
It's dope, dude. He's got no TV there. Allegedly. Also, do we believe Iran?
Yeah, just a bunch of studio equipment.
No TV, just a screen here.
Completely untapped. Yeah.
Plugs right into my Ethernet connection to my fucking off-grid bunker. I have a Tesla charging station outside. What? How the fuck are you off-grid with electricity?
Yeah, he uses bear sounds to power his house.
I was just going to say he fucks a bear and powers his house off. Can we turn sexual? Can we turn cum into enough electricity? This is the next question.
I don't. For
Back
anyone,
to serious shit, David. Are we trusting Iran seriously?
no. Here's the thing.
No.
We said this when we listened to the Putin interview. By simply asking the questions and playing the clips, we weren't saying that we 100% trust Putin. We're just saying, let's get all the information from all sides and see where it shakes out. What makes the most sense? Where is there overlapping corroboration? Actual journalism, right? Instead of, well, let's ask the United States and then let's ask the United States ally and let's not ask anybody else. And let's see if they're on the same page. That's not journalism. Ask everybody and see if we can figure out who's lying. We're seeing out where the truth is because everybody's lying, let's be clear. Every single party of this is going to be lying to some degree.
Lying and spying, right?
The actual truth does fall somewhere in the middle. So again, Tulsi Gabbard had a report and said, I gotta stop doing that. Tulsi Gabbard had a report and said in 2003 they stopped building nukes. Israel said for 30 years they were 5 years away. Other people in the United States said, "Oh no, they're certainly there. They're enriching uranium, Ryan. And why else would you enrich uranium?" So I'm curious to see what the president says here.
In exchange for peace.
I would like to tell you what has happened, and it was Netanyahu since 1984 has created this false mentality that Iran seeks a nuclear bomb, and it has insinuated that Iran is trying to develop a nuclear bomb in the past, and it has put it in the minds of every U.S. president since then, and to make them believe that we would like to have a nuclear bomb. But the truth is that we have never been after developing a nuclear bomb, not in the past, not presently, or in the future, because this is wrong, and this is in contrast to the religious decree or the fatwa, which has been issued by His Eminence, the Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, that so it is religiously forbidden for us to go after a nuclear bomb. And this was always corroborated thanks to our cooperation with IAEA, because they were always there that to verify this and to substantiate that we have never wanted a nuclear bomb. But unfortunately, this cooperation was disturbed by the unlawful attacks against our nuclear facilities.
So you have, according to news reports, withdrawn your cooperation from IAEA, the International Nuclear Regulatory Agency. And so there's, I suppose, no way for the rest of the world to know how much uranium you're enriching and to what extent, to what percentage it's being enriched. And so is there any way to verify, and would you be willing to allow other nations to verify that you are not building nuclear weapons?
Does Iran have natural uranium in their soil? Like, doesn't naturally? Yeah,
possibly. Here's the
I mean,
thing.
I know
Here's
a lot
my
of that
understanding.
cobalt lithium's over.
My understanding, yeah, she's got an interesting sneeze. It would not generate energy, that's for sure. My understanding of Iran is that their nuclear policy, this is what I think, is somewhat strategically ambiguous, where they maintain the capability to build a nuke. They maintain the uranium levels necessary to build a nuke, but they don't actually build a nuke. And I know there's other countries that do this. Asian countries, South Korea, I believe, does this, and I think Japan does this as well, and many other nations, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. So it's not, Iran's not like the only country on Earth that has potential capabilities to build nuclear weapons and the uranium to do so without actually building them. Iran's unique in that they're the only country, to my knowledge, that gets publicly shamed for it. Ryan has disappeared. Ryan has left us again. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I should double check that just to be sure. But I'm pretty sure there's other nations that do very similar nuclear strategery. Have you heard this before, Ryan?
What? I'm sorry, I had technical.
The nations that maintain like capabilities to produce nuclear weapons, but don't actually produce nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapon capability. There's a term for it too, and it escapes my memory because my memory is terrible. Nuclear threshold.
Where that's where like they have the ability to. And they don't?
So Iran, Saudi Arabia, Japan, South Korea, or South Africa, Germany, Belarus. I thought South Korea. Oh yeah, Taiwan, South Korea, Brazil. So there's other nations that do it. Even Saudi Arabia, also in the Middle East, and yet we consider them great allies. Saudi Arabia has the capabilities and they have uranium necessary to build nukes, but they don't build nukes. Now, Iran's the one country that we demonize for that. Now, whatever, maybe for good reason. I'm just saying they're not alone in this, and it doesn't mean they are building nukes. So when people come
is
out
it
and
China?
say, well,
does China have nukes? How many countries even possess nuclear warheads?
Yeah, China has nukes. Well, China, Russia, America for sure, but I think there's many others.
I can look after. I'm writing a list because I'm curious. How many countries have nukes?
9. United States, Russia, China, France, United Kingdom, Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea. Now, I don't know. Pakistan and India were battling each other. Does everyone remember this? What happened to that war? Yeah, China, Russia, and United States. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Russia, at least publicly, has more nukes than us. Or maybe that's an old stat. Regardless, there's 9 other nations that have nuclear weapons, and then there's multiple nations that have the capabilities to build nuclear weapons, but don't do so. And then the rest of the world sucks. So
the rest of the world's commies.
bunch of wimps, no nukes, losers.
You nukeless bastards.
Mr. Carlson, sir, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we were right in the middle of holding talks with the United States. And the President of the United States invited us to hold such talks in order to have peace. And we were told during the process of these negotiations and talks that as long as we don't give the permission to Israel, they are not going to attack you. And we were going to have the next round of the talks very soon. But in the middle of it, suddenly Israel torpedoed the negotiating table. We were sitting at the negotiating table when it happened. And by doing this, they totally ruined and destroyed diplomacy. In order to answer your question with regards to the surveillance or the supervision over our nuclear program, I would like to say that we are ready to hold talks over it. We have never been the party that has run away from verification. We stand ready to have these supervisions, but unfortunately, as a result of the United States unlawful attacks against our nuclear centers and installations, many of the pieces of equipment and the facilities there have been severely damaged. Therefore, we don't have any access to them. We cannot see, and unless this access is going to be back there again, we have to wait for it and to see what happens and how much they have been damaged so that we can go for the supervision.
There have been news reports that your government believes that the IAEA was spying on the government of Iran and passing information to Israel. Do you believe that? And if so, do you have evidence that that's true that the world could see?
I would like to tell you that we were, yes, somehow pessimistic about the activities of the IAEA, because somehow we realized that Israel could get information from the inspections which were carried out by the IAEA, but it never prevented the IAEA from carrying out their activities inside Iran, and they had full access to supervise and to have surveillance over our nuclear facilities. But there was this lack of trust as the result of the last report by IAEA. The type of the report and the way they prepared the report somehow gave an excuse to the Israeli regime and prepared the ground for their unlawful and unauthorized attack against our nuclear facilities. And even after that, the IAEA failed to condemn these attacks or try to anyway to stop them. And this ran counter to the international law, and this resulted in a widespread lack of trust among the Iranians, Iranian legislators, and the public opinion here.
Were those reports that were done not supposed to be public? I'm confused. Were they supposed to be privately done? I know it's a third party that comes in, they do investigation on the facilities, but was that information not meant to be public?
It's crazy, dude.
This is the first I heard about this idea that this third party was spying on behalf of Israel. I just assumed the whole point of these reports were to keep everyone in check. So I didn't think the information was supposed to be a secret.
Do the Jews really run everything, David? They got the religious area locked in. They got the Bank of London. They got the military of the United States.
No, I'm sorry. I can't get on board with that.
All right.
I just don't. Logically, to me, it never made sense that a nation that small with a religious group, I don't want to say minor, but like way smaller than Christianity, way smaller than Islam, like they're the ones control it. Like where would that even come from? Like how would that even work? It just never logically panned out for me.
You've suggested that you were anxious to resolve your conflicts with the United States through diplomacy and that was derailed by war. Would you be willing to restart diplomacy? And could you tell us in general but precise terms the kind of deal you would be willing to accept?
You see, I am of the belief that we could very much easily resolve our differences and conflicts with the United States through dialogue and talks. And, the international law could serve as the framework or the basis for a deal in which the rights of all nations, Iranian nation, would be respected. But unfortunately, it was Netanyahu that destroyed these diplomacy and these diplomatic efforts. We have always, we never wanted anything beyond the respect for our rights, rightful rights, enshrined in international law. But as I said, it was Netanyahu that brought unrest to our region and is fomenting unrest and tensions in the region. As I have always said, we have always been after peace. It has been my motto. It has been my belief. It has been my heartfelt opinion that we need to live in peace and harmony during this short and limited time granted to us by God Almighty, to live in peace and tranquility with everybody. And everybody in the world should live like that. But I would also like, on the other hand, to reiterate that our people are capable enough to defend themselves in self-defense during any kind of attack. And I believe that the United States president can very well guide the region and the world to peace and tranquility, or, on the other hand, to lead it to forever wars.
Do you have plans to re-enter negotiations with the United States, with Envoy Steve Witkoff or anyone else? And if not, what do you think will happen?
We see no problem in re-entering the negotiations. But before that, I have to remind you that because of the atrocities by the Zionist regime, by Israel, not just against my country, but in the whole region, we are now facing a crisis. The people are facing a crisis that we need to put it behind ourselves. Our commanders were off duty. They were spending the night at their homes with their families, but they were killed. And this is considered a war crime according to the international law, because they were off duty, as I said, or our scientists were also killed and assassinated along with their families and their wives and their children. They were also killed. Pregnant women, children, they were killed in the atrocities, in the attacks of the Israeli regime. Just because they wanted to kill one single person, they had to demolish and destroy a whole building. And as a result of this, a lot of innocent people were killed. A lot of people were killed. And as I said, there is this crisis that we have to put it behind ourselves. And there is a condition, there is a provision for the restarting the talks. How are we going to trust the United States again? We re-enter the negotiations, then how can we know for sure that in the middle of the talks, the Israeli regime will not be given the permission again to attack us?
There's two things to say here. When the news broke that Israel had struck Iran, and it was in the midst of waiting for the United States to come to the table for diplomatic talks, we said on the show that it was not necessarily great timing. If you're looking to make peace diplomatically and one of the parties bombs the other party, it makes it real difficult. We talked about this with Russia and Ukraine when Donald Trump was trying to come to the table and get a temporary ceasefire, and Ukraine was firing at Russia, and Russia was firing back at Ukraine. Makes it real hard to have peace talks when they won't even stop shooting at each other. So there's that. But the other thing he said here is interesting. When we talk about why would you speak with opposing parties, because aren't they just going to lie and naturally just believe one side of the story? But here's the thing. Like I said, there's a kernel of truth somewhere in the middle of all the parties, because everyone's going to lie and everyone's going to try to make themselves look good. But somewhere in the middle, you're going to be able to find truth. Another thing we've talked about on the show is what Israel has been reportedly doing in Gaza. And what we were told is, and there's no denying, Hamas started that conflict. There's no doubt. And Israel struck back, as you would expect a nation to do. That's fine. But then it got to a point where we're getting really close to where we can start saying genocide. Like, it's getting, all right, easy. Too much self-defense, Israel. They were blowing up buildings, hospitals, and the excuse was, well, Hamas is inside and they're cowards and they're using the innocents as protection. And what else would you do? So yeah, naturally we must blow up.
Or maybe they were injured. terrorists, David, trying to get medical attention.
Sure, yeah, sure. So surely we're gonna have to blow up the buildings because Hamas is hiding with innocent civilians, and that's on them at that point, right? That's the claim they tried to make. Now here's the Iranian president saying they're doing the same thing to us without even bringing up anything else. He's saying they're doing it to us. They're blowing up our buildings with innocent women and children inside. Why? What's the excuse in this time? Hamas? Hamas is hiding with innocent children in Iran? Is that? I haven't heard them make that claim. Maybe at some point it's kind of just the thing they do. Maybe it's their MO. They blow up hospitals. Obama blew up a hospital, didn't he? Didn't we cover that? We didn't cover it live when it happened because we weren't doing the show when Obama was in office. But I seem to remember Obama blew up a hospital. Am I wrong about this?
David, the military normally targets hospitals and shit, dude.
So I'm just saying...
They do the runways, they do the hospitals, they hit military bases too, but they carpet bomb runways so that they can fly their shit right on top of it. They blow up all the shit and then fly right on top of it.
So I'm just saying you don't have to believe everything the man from Iran says, and you don't have to believe everything from Israel, and you don't have to believe anything from our government. Remember, that was the point that I made forever ago, is I can never understand why people on the right who claim to be anti-government are so pro-Israel. It doesn't make... we don't even support our own government as much as we try to support Israel. I don't understand. It doesn't make logical sense to me.
Well, maybe they got Trump with Epstein tapes like they had Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky.
Maybe they got him a little bit dead to rights. Who knows? Yeah, I just...
They're really bad at intelligence, though.
Yeah. This is why you do real journalism.
Do you believe the Israeli government
This is why you do real journalism, because you can get all sides and you can find the truth in the middle. So that's why you interview people like Putin, and that's why you interview the man from Iran, because you need to find the truth. And if you're only looking for the narrative for the truth, you're only going to find the narrative. It just doesn't work that way.
tried to assassinate you?
They did try, yes. And they acted accordingly, but they failed. And as a true believer, I believe that it is in the hands of the God Almighty to determine when a person will die or will not die. If he wills, the God Almighty wills, then you can die when you are walking freely in the streets. And but I would like to tell you that I am not afraid of sacrificing myself for in defense of my country, and in safeguarding and defending the sovereignty, the freedom and the independence of my country. I'm willing to give my life, to give blood for that. And nobody here, I mean, none of the government officials is afraid of losing their lives in line of defense. But will it bring security to the region? I mean, bloodshed, more bloodshed, assassination, killing others. Will it bring peace and tranquility and stability to the region?
With respect, can you tell us how you know that you were an assassination target? A week and a half ago, I don't believe I've seen that confirmed anywhere. How are you certain they tried to kill you?
I would just assume. Of
course, it was not the U.S. that was behind my the attempt on my life. It was Israel. I was in a meeting. We were discussing the ways to move forward. But thanks to the intelligence by the spies that they had, they tried to bombard the area that we were holding that meeting, in which we were holding that meeting. But as I told you before, it is God who wills when a person will die and give up his life. And once again, I would like to emphasize that we are not afraid of martyrdom. We are not afraid of sacrificing our lives for our people, for our independence. And I would like to tell you that this imposed war by the Israeli regime resulted in one thing, and that was more solidarity and unity amongst the Iranian people. And it proved yet once again that the Iranian people, no matter where they are in the whole wide world, they do care about their country, about the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of their motherland. And as I said, this brought about more solidarity, and it united us further. Thanks to this act of aggression by the Israeli regime. My proposal is that the U.S. administration should refrain from getting involved in a war that is not its war, that is not America's war. It is Netanyahu's war that is having its devilish machinations for the whole region. It has its own agenda. He has his own agenda, Netanyahu, I mean, inhuman agenda, and that is having forever wars that go on and on and on. And this is my proposal to the United States, not to be fooled by Netanyahu, not to be dragged into this kind of war.
Many Americans are afraid of Iran. You say you're not afraid, but Americans are afraid of Iran. And they believe that Iran would like to strike the United States with a nuclear weapon. They see video of Iranians saying death to America, describing our country as the great Satan. What is your opinion of that? Should we be afraid of Iran?
I'd like to point out that 10 years ago, Tucker Carlson was wearing a bow tie on Fox News. And now he is asking the Iranian president point blank about them chanting death to America. That's fucking ballsy.
What a character arc, dude. Him, Russell Brand, Rogan.
That's fucking ballsy.
That's fucking something, dude.
How do you respond to that? If you're the Iranian president, how do you even respond to that?
About to find out.
What do you fucking just take it on the chin? Yeah, fuck you guys. Like, what the hell do you
America.
Say? What do you even say?
Yo, he says fuck America and gets off.
He just drops the mic.
Mic drop.
Holy shit.
Get
yeah,
fucked.
I don't. Well, we got another 12 minutes, so I'm assuming he doesn't do that.
I believe that this is a very wrong impression that anybody might.
Hold on. Are we going to play the it's taken out of context game?
Oh, maybe there's just a mistranslation of his L'chaim, David.
Man, politicians are the same all across the globe.
Yeah, dude, they all got
it's
the
out
same
of context. Really? You said we're big Satan. Yeah, it's out of context. Really?
Fucking whole stadium full of people.
A whole stadium full of people saying death to America. It's out of context. Okay. All right.
Kill the whites, South
Iran or the Iranians. I would like to remind you that Iran has never invaded another country in the last 200 years. When they say
because of America,
the United States,
I didn't ask if you invaded countries.
They don't mean death to the people of the United States or even to the officials of the United States. They mean death to crimes, death to killing and carnage, death to supporting killing others, death to insecurity and instability. This is. Have you ever heard that an Iranian killing an American? Have you ever heard that? Or a terrorist that was Iranian and he carried out a terrorist attack against the Americans? No, it was your president who confessed that the Americans created the ISIS in our region, and they were responsible for this wrong image that is portrayed of religion or the Muslims in the world. And once again, I would like to tell you and remind you that this is not death to the American people or to the officials. Death to crimes and atrocities, to bullying, to the use of force, and anybody who would like to become an accomplice in the crimes perpetrated by others.
two Iranian ayatollahs have issued fatwa.
Death to killing, Ryan. Death to use of force. That's all that means. Symbolically, death to the West, if that's what they're saying, that's still a problem, right? We acknowledge that's a big deal.
Why wouldn't they just chant some other shit then, if it meant other shit?
I don't know if death to killing rings, as a rolls right off the tongue, Ryan.
I also wonder if that the translator's got his family tied up right behind camera there, waiting to get their brains blown out if he says the wrong fucking thing. But I could be a conspiracy theorist here. ISIS. It was interesting. I haven't heard the ISIS lately, David.
That's because Trump destroyed them, Ryan. Remember?
Do you remember ISIL too?
Died like a dog.
Died the al-Baghdadi. We sent in the dogs. Blew a hole. He was crying. That was crazy. He talked for 40 minutes. Oh my God. We have the best soldiers ever. Not even real. It's a fucking candy camera show. There was always the conspiracy, the good old Alex days, David, that ISIS was actually a CIA construct. So,
well, why wouldn't you assume that when you know enough history about the Middle East? I mean, Osama bin Laden was in the CIA. Saddam Hussein had ties to the CIA. Like everything that was created in the Middle East was because of our own intelligence agencies, the same ones that tell you that Epstein didn't rape kids. I'm borderline convinced that our own intelligence.
Yo, did you see the Ghislaine Maxwell
create and destroy nations on their own?
I seen the meme floating around by Maxwell is serving time for the list, but the list doesn't exist, right? Like,
oh, like yeah. Like, well, then what am I serving time for?
Yeah, like
if the list doesn't exist and I'm in jail for being a part of the list, like what's happening?
Death to killing.
Death to killing. Death to the use of force. Okay.
Death to authoritarians.
If you say so. If you say so.
It was ISIS. Wrong interpretation, David.
Against Donald Trump. What does that mean exactly, and what do you think of it?
Oh, this is interesting. He's asking about fatwa, Ryan. This
fatwa?
Term. Well, here's the thing. We've never really talked about this. There's someone I know. I wouldn't say like friends, but I know him well enough. I actually used to sell him coral forever ago. You meet a lot of interesting people in the coral. I met crypto fucking billionaires and fucking crazy shit.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he was. I wouldn't say billionaire, but he had enough money. He got in real early in Bitcoin and just held until it hit like 20K and bounced it all. He did pretty well for himself.
Cool, dude. Buy $20, sell for $2 million.
Yeah, and then he just turned into like fucking Grant Cardone. He just bought a bunch of fucking houses and shit.
I love that shit, dude. I love the shit out of that.
This guy I knew, he's a Muslim, and he actually he was talking about fatwas because the media has made it sound like, and I'm going to be clear about this, and I'm actually curious where this goes because I'm going to be right up front. I've done no further research on this other than talking to this one person I barely know, but he is a Muslim, and he had said that the mainstream media in the United States has completely blown the term fatwa into something it's not. They've made it sound like assassination attempts and all types of crazy stuff. And he's saying, really, it's basically like a political or religious leadership basically denouncing something. He's like, that's literally all a fatwa is. It's just simply publicly denouncing something. This is what this person has said. Now, granted, I'm telling you right now, I've done no further research on this. I barely know the guy who used to selling corals. That's all I know. I'm just telling you he's a Muslim. I know that for a fact, and that's what he said. So I'm curious what the president of Iran is going to say about this, because we've been told publicly that it's like this calls for assassination and all these crazy outlandish things. So I'm curious what he says now.
To the best of my knowledge, they have not issued decrees or fatwas against any individual or against Donald Trump. And first off, it has nothing to do with the Iranian government or to His Eminence, the Supreme Leader of Iran. What they actually meant by the fatwa was in condemnation of an insult to a religion or religious personalities, and they were actually saying that this is deplorable, this is unacceptable. So it was not directed towards the US president or any other individual. And there might be people with their own ideas and opinions, but I can assure you that the meaning of this fatwa should not be construed or considered as a threat against any individual.
Has Iran...
Look at that.
Look at Dave with the scoop on the corals, dude.
look at that. He said, wait a minute, hold on. You guys got the wrong idea. This isn't a threat. Now, again, I don't know. This guy could be lying. But again, finding the kernel of truth. This one like Muslim guy I know is like, yeah, fatwas doesn't mean it's like an assassination attempt or anything. The media doesn't know what they're talking about. And now Tucker does the interview with the president. He's like, yeah, it's just like what they said was deplorable. That's all. Oh, so dude, that's very different than what we were told.
Is the word deplorable just like a super fancy political word for like asshole or piece of shit or something?
Yeah,
because I've never heard it used.
Hillary Clinton called a fatwa against Trump and his supporters, Ryan.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I never heard it like as a word until Hillary. The deplorable. It's like, who the fuck even says that? Now, granted, I didn't come from upper crust society, David, and then this dude's translator uses it with his family tied up in the back, so it just must be like high class jargon.
Well, when Hillary Clinton's not trying to win over the black community with her hot sauce, she's talking about deplorables.
At this point, what difference does it make, David? The lady's a fucking
act an assassination attempt against Donald Trump.
This is actually what Netanyahu is trying to insinuate and to make your people or the president of your country to believe. But this is wrong because Netanyahu, as I said, has its own agenda. It wants to drag the U.S. into forever wars, as I said, and to bring more insecurity, instability, and unrest to the whole region.
For what it's worth, and I appreciate Tucker asking the question, but if Iran tried to assassinate our president, I don't think the president of Iran is going to tell you they did. I appreciate asking the question, but I don't expect him to be like, yeah, we tried to kill him at least 3 times.
It's like 2010, 14. We got real close at 17.
Yeah.
Got close at 17. We wired a guy money in Pennsylvania this past election cycle.
Yeah, he got close. He hit him right in the ear.
Right in the ear, dude. But that's what you get for fucking Luke Skywalker, out of the sand dunes.
Yeah. BlackRock was real helpful in hunting that guy down for us.
Dude, I could not believe that dude was in a fucking commercial. Just coincidence. Everything is a coincidence. Every single time.
Well, hold on.
Single time, it's a coincidence. Just like Maxwell serving time for a list that don't exist. But the guy that ran for president, it's crazy.
It was bad enough the first guy from the first assassination attempt that he was in a BlackRock commercial, but then like the very next guy was like also in a BlackRock commercial. I don't know if I believe this many coincidences.
It's like, dude, what are the odds of all your kids being
Ryan,
gay?
have you ever seen a BlackRock commercial? Do they even make commercials? What do they make? 2 commercials and both of them had assassins in it?
Yeah, they make 2 commercials. One of them is portrayed for companies to get business. The other one's internal HR document. Jesus. BlackRock, where we buy up all the houses so no single mom can afford to live anywhere.
Rand, did you try to kill the president? No. Okay.
No,
done my job.
Next question.
Some large number of Iranian nationals living in the United States.
Is he talking about sleeper cells?
Some have said they are, quote, sleeper cells. They are terrorists who are acting at the command of your government. Would you right now make a statement to Iranian citizens living in the United States not to commit acts of violence in the United States?
You see, these things you're telling me, this is the first time I'm hearing them from you or from anybody. The Iranians are known for their knowledge.
I'll tell you who he doesn't watch is Alex Jones, because he's been talking about Hezbollah sleeper cells for like 10 years now.
Dude, there ain't no way that guy doesn't know about Alex Jones. He owes fucking families the GDP of countries. That guy might be... Alex might go down as one of the most famous people to ever live. Like, in the history of forever. Like, yeah, some guy talked about fake dead kids and had to pay $3 billion.
The same guy called 9/11 live on air.
Live on air. Definitely didn't get it right. Yeah, dude, nuts.
Yeah, he literally called it to the T's. Like, he knew the plane number. Fucking crazy.
Science, for their courtesy, for being civilized. Have you seen otherwise from them? Any other kind of behavior from them, or any violent behavior? Has anybody ever seen anything from them? Yeah, as I said, this is what Israel is trying to put into your minds. They are propagating that Iranians might be capable of doing such a thing, but this is totally untrue, because by nature Iranians are pro peace and tranquility, and they're trying.
How can Israelis propagate that in my mind when Ted Cruz says they're really bad at intelligence and spying?
Well, somebody has to be lying, right?
Well, I don't know, David. The whole point of covering this was that we overlap stories. I'm pretty sure Ted Cruz says, yo, they're really bad at it. And this guy's like, nah, Israel said the fucking spy, they got nuclear spy scientists. It's pretty high class, dude. Spy nuke scientists? You gotta fucking be pretty smart to fake nuclear physics, David.
Yeah.
Just make it make sense. It's just interesting.
To actually make to somehow impact the minds of the decision makers and the people of the United States, and to scare them into getting involved in a war in my region that is not going to ensure any kind of interest for the United States. It is not to be in the interest of the United States to be involved in any kind of war in my region.
It wasn't that long ago, it was during the revolutionary period in Iran, that Iran had relations with Israel and commercial relations with Israel and reputedly bought weapons from Israel. What happened? How did that change? Who changed it and why, that relationship?
Israel itself is to blame because just look at what they have been doing in the last couple of years in Palestine, in Gaza, what Netanyahu has been doing, killing women and children, bombing schools and hospitals and civilian and residential areas. This is nothing short of a full-scale genocide there. They have blocked the entry of food and medicine, any kind of humanitarian relief.
Pretty sure that's definition of genocide.
To Gaza.
Here's the problem.
Pretty sure that's definition of like waging war. That's 21st century warfare for people who don't know. Destroying your economy, collapsing your schools so you can't educate or feed people. Yeah.
Here's the problem. Again, we've talked about this many times. Israel has created a problem, a big time image problem for themselves. And it's not just with, it's just the small fringe anti-Semites. It's only Muslims who don't. No, it's not. It's anyone who doesn't like unnecessary death and killing.
Death to death, David.
Death to death. We should be chanting in the streets, Ryan. Death to killing. We should be against this.
Death to killing,
And
dude.
yeah, you kind of listen. I'm not saying some people are more on the right than others. There's levels to this shit, but it's a problem when you create a poor image for yourself when you're unnecessarily. Yeah, well, we only bombed the hospital because Hamas was hiding behind the cancer kids. Oh, okay. Well, I guess they were terminal anyway, Ryan. Might as well blow up the hospital to get Hamas.
Maybe they could send one of their
Yeah,
nuclear
well,
scientist spies down there to fucking do an
yeah,
autopsy on the person, then fucking stab them, David. Why don't you send
yeah.
spies like America?
We blocked the border because we didn't need food and water getting over to Hamas. Oh, okay. There's other people there who definitely need food and water, but no, just definitely block all the food and water after you just blow up the hospital. Ted Cruz in an interview with Tucker Carlson. Yeah, well, they do spy on us, but I expect everyone would spy on us. Okay, well, that's good. Our greatest allies spying on us as we're bombing other countries from. That's nice. That's good. At some point,
after they said it came out that they blackmailed Bill Clinton into fucking.
hey,
baby, so good.
They're not
We're on
very
the
good
phone.
at it.
Israel
Really,
listening.
yeah, they're not super good at it. Really, can you tell me about that guy that was an Israel spy who got locked up for life? And then they used him to blackmail Bill Clinton. You want to talk about that guy? I think was it Jonathan Pollard? No, that's fine. That's fine. No, they're not good at it. Yeah, you have slowly created a bad name for yourselves. And this is the kind of thing that happens. And then when Trump goes to have peace talks on everybody, on your behalf and on our behalf, you're welcome. You bomb them 3 days before we hit the table. It's not. You're really making it difficult here.
It's kind of Veep, David. Sounds Veepish.
And then Tucker Carlson interviews the president of Iran, and now Tucker Carlson, well, how could you interview our enemies? It's like, well, I don't know. Do you want at all sides and to find the truth, or do you want to find the narrative?
So this has adversely impacted the way my country and the whole region looks at Israel. And this, I mean, their own behavior and their own actions are to blame, because this is unacceptable what they have been doing in my region. And as far as I know, we have never received any kind of weapon from Israel. And I would like to tell you, even at that time, we did not want to have.
I don't know if he means under his. I don't know how long he's been president for. I don't know if he just means under his presidency, but if Israel and Iran absolutely used to exchange weaponry. Well, that was really a one-way ticket. Iran used to buy weapons off Israel because they had the better munitions, but that's absolutely historically accurate. So, I don't know if he just meant. I personally, as president, have not bought weapons off Israel because I believe that relationship went south in the was it the 70s? It was a while back.
I know zilch about the Middle East, David.
He might not have been president at that time, but I'm just saying it historically did happen. I don't think anyone doubts that.
Weapons. We did not want to have wars. We did not want to fight the Iraqis. It was the war that was imposed on us. And just like the way that this.
It's interesting that he went from we never bought weapons from them to then explaining exactly why they used to buy weapons from them. Yeah, we didn't buy weapons from Israel. We certainly didn't want the war with Iraq that we used all those weapons we bought from Israel. Wait a minute. By the way, that was a CIA operation causing. Yeah,
war was.
They armed them to fight the Rahajadi or something. It was under Ronald Reagan, right, David? And then that's where they all came.
Was it Carter? I thought it was Carter. Was it Reagan?
Reagan armed the Rajahadi, which eventually became Al Qaeda, which eventually became ISIL, which eventually became ISIS.
Yeah, you might be right. I think they were doing something when Carter was in office too, because that's right.
It was probably a regime change before Rajahadi or whatever it is. It's funny we get a regime change except for the White House one.
It's always the men in the black suits, Ryan. You might not like Putin, but I think he's onto something.
Oh, he's onto something.
By the Israeli regime, we did not attack Israel. They attacked us.
Can you imagine
Well, that's also
at the
true. They've been
end
attacking
of
each other
the
for
diplomatic
decades.
exchange with the United States, a world in which American companies invest again in Iran, sanctions are lifted, there is peace in the region? Is that your goal? And do you think it's possible?
You know, from the very beginning of my administration, I first tried to have the domestic solidarity and unity, further unity amongst the Iranian people. Then we tried to have better relations with our neighbors, neighboring countries of Iran. And then I had this talk with His Eminence, the Supreme Leader of Iran, and during which His Eminence emphasized that there is no limitation and there is nothing preventing the U.S. investors to come to Iran and to make investments in Iran, even presently. There has never been any limitation, anything barring them from coming into Iran, and this is the belief of the Supreme Leader of Iran. And but once again, I would like to tell you that it is Israel that does not want such things to happen in the region. Israel does not want to see peace and tranquility in the region. But I would like to once again repeat that the United States President, Mr. Trump, is he's capable enough to guide the region towards the peace and a brighter future, and put Israel in its place, or get into a pit, an endless pit or a swamp, and that is a war that Netanyahu wants the United States or the U.S. president to be dragged into. So it is up to the United States president to choose which path that I told you about. And as I told you, there is nothing preventing the commercial or industrial or economic activities by the U.S. Business people and investors. And of course, if there was a limitation, it was caused by the U.S. sanctions, not by us.
Mr. President, my final question: if we wind up in a broader war, could you expect assistance from Russia and China, military and economic assistance from your allies, Russia and China?
Really, Tucker?
We have
the World War III question to end.
Really, dude? Fucking really?
Ends
Tucker,
it on the World War III question.
Dude, hat off to you, Tucker. I got to level with you. I wouldn't ask. I would just assume. I would just assume, as Tucker Carlson, if I was interviewing the president of Iran, I'd probably put my foot in my mouth enough times. But I'd be like, why would you expect help from Russia? It would just be insinuated. You just casually make it a yes or no. But that's why he's where I am and I am where I am. So my hat's off to him, though. That's fucking funny.
He's gonna play Art of War here when you were weak appear strong, Ryan.
Anti-racist baby.
I don't need fucking Russia and China. Fuck them. I'm gonna do it on my own. I guarantee.
Russia and China have no agreement with the state of Iran.
We
are a sovereign nation. We are a sovereign nation. Why are you starting to sound Asian, dude?
Yeah, no, you're sounding kind of. Are you speaking Mandarin?
Are you fucking drinking Russian vodka? You got Beefeater back there? That's Switzerland.
Always put our trust in God, and in God we trust, and we are capable enough to defend ourselves and to stand on our own 2 feet and to defend our country, our territorial integrity to the last drop of our blood. As I have said again and again, we don't want wars. We don't want to develop a nuclear weapon. And this false image, this wrong mentality created in the minds of the U.S. Decision makers and officials is because of the devilish machinations instigated by Netanyahu and the Israeli regime and its policies based on warmongering. And the U.S. president should know that another war will only spread more instability in the Middle East, and it is not going to be in the interest or in favor of the U.S. president or the U.S. government to move in that or towards that direction. They instead need to choose peace and tranquility, which is something that I am and my government and my country are after. And I also, as I said, I believe that the U.S. president is powerful enough to put Israel to Netanyahu in their place to contain them and replace warmongering, bloodshed, and conflicts with peace and tranquility.
Mr. President, thank you for taking the time to explain your perspective. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for providing me with an opportunity to tell you about what is going on in my mind and in my heart. And I hope that peace and tranquility will prevail, not just for the people of the United States, for the U.S. officials, but for the whole world, and especially the people of my region. And thank you again.
What does it say? There were forces in Iran strongly opposed to this interview. We'd like to thank Azad Media and its CEO, independently journalist Mahi Damati.
Wow, dude.
Possible. Interesting.
Wow, dude. Tucker's contacting people that are risking their lives for these interviews, just so you know. Pretty remarkable.
Shit.
I don't know. What do you say, dude? You know? Couple things. Putin wearing the beekeeper suit during COVID. He knew it was made in a lab. That's why he wore the suit. It just dawned on me. It dawned on me.
His friends made it, right?
And then I was laughing during part of that interview because I was thinking about that, and then I thought about the Russian scientist who helped invent the vaccine was found dead.
Found dead.
And then strangled? When he was strangled, yeah, self-suffocated.
Yeah. He was found dead with strangulation marks around his neck. Wait a minute, that's not found dead, that's murdered. The headline means he was murdered.
Fucking guy who developed vaccine dead. It's kind of like when Boeing's plane started falling out of the sky, David. Do you remember that? And we're like, huh, that's weird. Be like, hey guys, do you know that Boeing lied about the steel in its airplane? You'd be like, nah, nothing to worry about. And then the plane started falling. Be like, huh, that's weird. A couple weeks ago, they talked about their safety instructor killed himself in the parking lot. That's weird.
And then it happened again?
Yeah, no, it's fucking weird.
It was back to back. Found dead.
Found dead, dude. Yeah, a couple things. Also funny, he called it the swamp of war. We hear swamp of Washington, swamp of war. Kind of interesting. Cross-cultural hashtags are interesting. Putin, truth of COVID. David, does the devil wear a suit or no?
I like to think he's naked, Ryan. You know, actually, who I like to hold on. You might not know who this is. I'm gonna bring this up. This is a throwback from my childhood, Ryan.
Are you gonna pull up the Powderpuff Girls demon?
Him from Cow and Chicken.
Yes, Cow and Chicken, Ryan. This.
Not him. Him's from Powderpuff Girls.
No, it's the Cow and Chicken.
What's the news name? They wore high heels. The devil's like gay.
That's him.
Him, like tranny gay.
Is it the devil?
Hold on, this is
his name?
from Cow and Chicken, which is one of the craziest fucking cartoons you can ever watch. This is how I picture the devil.
Yes, bitch, I miss that guy.
Yeah.
Is his name really like Devil or something?
I think it is Devil.
I couldn't remember.
It says Red Guy. Or
Red
from
Guy?
Powderpuff Girls. That's what's saying here, ain't it? Red Guy.
No, this is
Cow and Chicken.
Yeah, this is Cow and Chicken.
Him.
Yeah, no, Powderpuff Girls. Yeah, I don't know his name.
I keep saying Powder. Him.
Powder.
Powerpuff Girls. That's who Ryan's talking about. The transgender devil guy.
Cow him Powerpuff Girls. Him. It is
Oh
him.
no, that one sucks. No, cow and chicken. The cow and chicken one is
Yes, Tranny Devil, bitch. Yes, bitch.
Yeah, I don't like Tranny Devil. Tranny Devil with the lobster claws sucks.
Yeah, the guy is
cow and
just a
chicken
fucking
devil is the one for sure.
just a gay red sausage, dude. He looks like a hot dog, like a cocktail weenie.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
Dude, our childhoods were fucking rough, dude. Our parents were coming off some serious drugs. Then again, Adventure Time's like fucking LSD for children, so I don't really know anymore. Maybe things were.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I feel like Devil wears a suit.
David, I think the devil does wear a suit. I think he's down there. You know, the older I get, David.
Just suiting it up. It'd be hot for a suit. That's why
the
naked
devil
makes more sense.
David, the devil would probably be the most handsome man you ever laid eyes on.
Do you think
and he probably wouldn't talk a lot, and when he did, it would probably like Lucifer had the most beautiful voice.
I've never spoken to him. I wouldn't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. It's weird to think. I always go back to Putin sometimes in these international conversations because I always feel like he's like a globetrotter, like Trump is kind of. You know, he's riding his shirt off on his fucking horse. But I wonder, like, he had that speech. It was a while ago. It might have been under Biden, but he talked about how he was going to encourage like people having like at least 5 kids, and they were going to keep women home and stop them going to school. Like he was trying to promote old traditional values, and I wonder if that guy just thinks the fucking devil runs the world.
Well,
because let's be honest, there's got to be somebody.
There's definitely
at the IMF, at the World Banks, at all these conglomerates. There's always this consolidation of power. The world is ran by ego. These top 500 companies, these politicians. It's a popularity contest and ego and power and millions and at some point when you can buy a new Bugatti, and Tate talks about this, so scale that up to Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett lives in the same house as he did when he was whatever. Okay. But what about the guys?
No, what they meant is he still owns the house.
Logan Paul, I know I've referenced this, but Logan Paul talked about it. He went to whatever fucking place. It was in like the Netherlands or Switzerland or Belgium or some fucking thing. And everything was overpriced to just keep everybody out unless you were like a billionaire. Like a cup of coffee was $300.
Oh, that sounds Belgium for sure.
And the people, he went to the event and all the rich people and all their kids were like, oh, you're the YouTubers. You know, and they were like, these people they're so removed from society. Dude, there's got to be somebody. And it's got to be the devil. It's in the Bible, David. Lucifer rules over earth. That's the guy in the suit. It's got to be. Dave, I said you the thing about destroying men. They said that the Y chromosome is disappearing in the genome.
Yeah, we talked about it. It's only parts per million though, right?
I'm going to strangle these people. I'm not like there's not you're wiping men. And you're going to say, what am I going to allow CRISPR? I'm going to allow Google to decide the next gender? No. So it's interesting. I'm glad Tucker's out there. We always talk about character arcs. We're all on character arcs, me especially. But, you know, to see Tucker, like you said, Dave, 10 years ago, he's wearing a tie, believe in everything. And now here he is literally fighting off global government and the devil. So
I got to tell you, finding out that Trump was wiretapped by Obama really shook his worldview hard.
Yeah, just think of that. And I always said it like mock. It wasn't like, oh, me. No, it's like, dude, this has been fucking known about. What do you?
And think of this.
Dave predicted the fucking art of war from his basement. Dave's a political expert. What do you? We paused the video, and Dave's like, I wonder what he's going to say. And it was exactly what Dave said. Not that it's hard to fucking say. That's what pisses me off. And we're all out here acting like they got it figured out. They don't know. It's bullshit. We don't have to accept that. That's all. We just all, like, I got upset a few weeks ago about us making a fat and dumb. Like, when do you just say, like, enough is fucking enough? You know? Like, I work with 19-year-olds. It's nothing to them. But it's like, dude, you're fucked. You're fucked. You guys don't know anything. We all failed. We fucking failed everybody. Your grandpa dies, you're fucked. Your dad dies, we're fucked. The lights won't work. Glad we all want to be, Instagram models. I swear to God, people just don't understand how time works. And me neither. You got anything else, or are we out of here?
No, I think that's it for today.
The only thing I'll say, Decembertainment this week, go watch Ozzy Osbourne's farewell address. And tell me it doesn't tug it. It does tell me that doesn't tug at your heart, man. That's dope shit. It's inspiring to see a guy go out. When those dudes started, they didn't know nothing, David, just like us. They were just fucking slinging dick, dude. And I don't know. What else can you do? Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us on Rumble. Greatest podcast of all time. I'd like to thank David for his time the most. Also, Elon Musk for stealing my shit. You may have a 700 IQ, you dork, but you still got to come down to my stream and steal all our shit. It's fine.
Did I send you the picture?
No. Elon's watching the program. You should. Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us on Rumble. You guys know the deal. Thanks, Dave. Love you guys. I'll see everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Oh, I like the Doge. I like that.